Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline, and my today's guest is Caroline. And you wonder what is happening now. There is no guest. So it is a solo episode. And what I want to do, and what I always wanted to do, is interview myself. So this is not the interview with the vampire. Maybe it is, but it's also the interview from Caroline by Caroline. And she asks herself, how about conversations with yourself? You can do this. We can talk to our lower self and to our higher self. It is like two personalities. And the question is to which personality you want to consent to. So you choose. And I must apologize, first of all. I planned this a few weeks ago. I had the intuition to do this interview with myself, and I forgot about it. And then it was the day of the publication. It was the 13th of July, which was yesterday. So I'm doing it now. I'm doing it with 24 hours delay. And I thought about, how can I do this? But it is episode 244. I marked it in the polar steps. And if you ask what is the polar steps, it is a map where you can track your travel. It is called, I think, polarsteps.com. And it is also an app for mobile phones. It can track you via GPS. It can track you, and you can add the places you have been to and write something about it. It's like a journal for traveling. I discovered it many years ago, and now I use it to track my podcast guests. So you are invited. If you are my interview guest, then you will receive your email after our interview with the link inside of that. And I don't want to talk so long. Every episode has 15 minutes. This was my goal, at least 15 minutes. And we can look back. It is 7 months now. It has been 7 months now since I received the intuition at 3 a.m. in the middle of the night in San Diego, where I was house sitting with the dog. She was amazing. She was my first dog, my first experience. And like Caroline always stumbles in situations and says yes to the unknown, to the surprises. She's curious. So, yes, let me introduce our guest. Who is our guest? The question is, I would say that my lower self is interviewing my higher self. We did this before. I did this before, but this episode is the episode which I did before will be the last episode. So it has a high standard and a high version of myself, and it will be published on the 21st of November 2026. Yes, and I calculated it when I publish one episode per day, and then I do 1,111 episodes, then it will be the last day on 21st of November in 2 years from now. And I'm glad that you are here in the experience. As I said, the lower self, if I can say this, which already elevated over the last years, of course, she's interviewing my higher self. So you will witness a role play. Caroline interviews Caroline. Okay, let's do this. Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline, and my today's guest is Caroline. And I want to introduce you to that phenomenal person. She's a lady. She has so many gratitude and humility in her. I hope the word is right. She's humble, she's grateful, she has grace, she's amazing, she's loved and adored by many people. She's famous right now. She's a writer, an author. She's a best-selling author. She's an inspirational speaker as well, and she's a founding founding member. Let's say she has created her own companies, and also, and this is her, what she's really proud about is her non-profit organization. We can call it as well foundation or charity. She's doing charity events now, and it started with a thought in her mind. It was only a thought, and I think it was back then in 2021 when Bob Proctor asked her the question, "What do you really, really want?" And then she began to think what she really wants, and she began to transform her life and speak it into existence, visualize it, and applying the principles she learned by Bob Proctor and Napoleon Hill. So welcome everyone, welcome Miss Caroline to the stage. How are you doing today? Okay. So I'm very fine today. Thank you so much for having me, Caroline. I'm so honored. Normally, I don't have time anymore for podcast interviews because I stopped doing podcast interviews last year. But I make an exception for you because, yeah, I'm your mirror and you are my mirror. So we are sisters. We are from the same blood and substance, and that is why I said yes, and I'm open to the opportunity to speak to your audience today. Yes, I come from your future to show you what's possible for you, and this is really exciting. So now, actually, I am in Disneyland. I'm negotiating a contract, and we will have many charity events in here, and yeah, they are doing amazing. They have much experience with it, so I meet many people now, and yeah, I'm happy to be here. So what is your first question? And I apologize, by the way, that my camera is not working here. I think, yeah, it's better we do it that way. Okay, thank you. Oh, Caroline, this is so amazing. So my first question, as always, for every guest I have is, what inspires you? And I always ask, like, what inspires you to get up every day and do the work you do? What is it? Can you inspire our audience today? Oh, yes, definitely. I can do this. I love to encourage people and empower them because I come from a place they are now in. For example, when I meet people, they are always my past thinking or my future thinking. So I see reflections of myself everywhere. And when I meet, for example, but this is not the answer to your question, when I meet people with negative thoughts, which occurs not so often anymore, and I'm happy about that. So I see it is something when I had bad thoughts and bad moments, like worries and doubts, and then I welcome them, and I feel empathy or compassion. I know exactly how they feel, and then I help them with an inspirational thought or word. But what they do with it, it's up to them. So we cannot force people to be happy, right? Or we cannot force them to think the thoughts they think. So to answer your question today, it is what inspires me is my goal. So I set beautiful goals for myself. Some people call them intentions. They set intentions for the day, and they create how the day will be like. For me, it is the same. As I grew the last it's been now 5 years now. Yes, my journey started 5 years ago. And when I was at the, let's say, the half of the 5 years, I had a little down period. I didn't see the progress. So this is when you work on yourself and you have those days and you think you don't see the movement, you don't see the change anymore. So you have, what I do is, then I take 1 or 2 days for myself, and I think, okay, my body needs to rest, my mind needs to rest, and then it will it will go on, right? So your question is what inspires me every day, and this is definitely my goal. The goal, my C-type goal I set in 2021, it is still here, it is still valid. I'm remembered about that, or remind myself of that every morning when I do my gratitude exercise and my book study. I'm so grateful for the people I am with. We are in a powerful community. I created the community and we help each other. So, yes, I can tell you definitely that it is worth doing the work every day. The blood, the sweat, the tears are all worth it to continue to persist, to show up on a consistent basis. And I want to encourage as well your listeners now today. It is possible. Whatever you imagine, whatever you can dream, you can do it. But of course, you have to do it. You have to do the work. No one else can do it for you. And this comes from the song by Natasha Bedingfield, right? Unwritten. Is it Unwritten, the song? I love it. So your future is unwritten. It is written in your mind. What you decide you want to experience, you can have. And once again, I encourage you highly to never give up. Never give up. Even if you have a bad day or even a bad week or a bad month, it doesn't matter. Never give up. Okay? Don't stick to the plan. This plan may vary or may pivot. You stick to your goal and you will follow through. Okay. Oh, that was a great answer. Thank you so much, Caroline. I feel inspired now, and I thank you very much. You already mentioned Bob Proctor and Napoleon Hill in the beginning. My next question is, who inspires you? Well, thank you, Caroline, for asking me that. The time back then in 2024, for example, I was I was still inspired by Bob Proctor and by Napoleon Hill every day, also by Rhonda Byrne. I studied the book The Greatest Secret back then, and also Dr. David R. Hawkins was a great inspiration for me. He wrote the book Letting Go, and I studied that book very, I think thoroughly is the word, carefully, right? Um, and to fully understand it. And then I realized you will never truly understand it. You have to enter into the spirit and feel it, because feeling is the secret. Now we have another mentor of mine, it is Neville Goddard, and there is no day when I don't study the material. And what is the material? The material are the universal laws, and there are several universal laws. Bob Proctor explains them in an audio course, and you can listen to it easily to understand the law of vibration, for example, as primary law. And then comes the law of attraction. And when you send out this, it is an electric impulse. You send it out with your thoughts, like ask and it is given. Then it comes back from the universe, and with your heart you you create the magnetic field, and it comes back to you, right? So you receive the impulse back, and you have the answer how to act, how to take action, and to achieve your goal, right? Okay, your question, who inspires you? I would say um, I can I can take inspired ideas from other people, which are not from other people, because they belong to everyone on the planet, everyone who has ever lived and who will ever live. We are all one. So the ideas are free, right? There are certain people who turn the ideas into reality. And yeah, I would say there is no competition, only co-creation. And I'm so grateful for that I understood this finally. So who inspires me? Everyone who has the spirit within them, who takes inspired action, who inspires other people. And I feel it. So it is the feeling. And my journey with the Inspired podcast also almost everyone was inspiring, I can tell you. We finished the last episode, we broadcasted it, and we do live events now. We speak on stage and invite other people, and we make the world a better place by us showing up. And when you ask who is us, yes, it is the community I created, or I am a supporter of that community. I am a part of many communities now, and yeah, because there are no limits, and there are no limits. That means wherever you feel home, you are home. There is no such thing as exclusion. No one excludes you. You yourself are excluding yourself, but maybe you don't realize it, and then sometimes it is too late. So, okay, this is my answer to your question. Thank you for asking me that. Thank you for your answer, Caroline. I'm so blessed by your presence today, that you are here. I see my future self, right? And maybe it's a little bit weird for the audience. I want to apologize, but I discovered that as a great coaching method to meet with your future self. You can sit for half an hour or 1 hour, and you can talk to your future self, your higher self. Let's say your higher self, because there is no such thing as time. So that means um, you eliminate those borders or boundaries. There are no limitations. You can talk to your inner child, and also to your higher self. The higher self always knows the answer and is always there for you. It is the divine in you. And now my next question is, how do you inspire other people? Oh, thank you so much for asking me that, because it's so important. Most of the people said, "Oh, I don't know how I inspire other people. I just do it. By my presence, by my showing up, by being me." And what I also learned is, the version, when you step into that version that doesn't need an explanation, right? This is the definition of the higher self. You don't need an explanation. You don't need to justify yourself. You don't need to apologize. You do the right thing without being told to do so. So you are a leader of your thoughts. And your question was, how do you inspire other people? I would say exactly by doing what I really love. And it's a quote we say, "Oh yeah, I know, do what you love and you never have to work again." It's true. There was a moment in time I decided what I wanted to do, what I really love. For example, the podcast interviews. And then we took it to the stage. So I created the 23 speaker events. The event you will see later on, it is the stage of inspiration. This was next level for me. One voice, many hearts. It was created, and within 24 hours it was booked, sold out. You call it sold out, right? So the resonance was very, very good with that. So I discovered one of my talents, and it is connecting people, connecting to people and speaking to them, and sharing my inspiration, and the question, how do you inspire other people? I don't do it. I was tempted to say I don't do it by on purpose or by intention. Of course, it is an intention of mine to reach people, right? To be seen and heard with my message. My message is very important. It is that you can free yourself. You can live a free life, free from your thoughts, the thoughts that reduce you to something you are not, or someone you are not. It is the person you think you are not that's holding you back. And the person you are, you really are, that means your higher self always knows the way. It is always guiding you. It is always for extension and fuller expression, or expression and fuller extension, because it is about expanding, right? Universe is always growing, expanding. We also have the law of rhythm. the law of rhythm says that it changes, right? When something expands, it has to collapse as well. For example, we see this with many people. When they are broke or they are homeless, and then all of a sudden they wake up and then they do the work, they work on themselves. How many stories are there when you study people like Byron Katie, from alcoholic to, I don't know, she's very inspiring. She did the work. She invented this or discovered this method, the 4 questions. Is this the truth? I don't know the 4 questions in English. I studied it in German, but if you want to know the book title, it is Byron Katie and Loving What Is. Then we have also Eckhart Tolle. He comes from Germany, and he moved to London, and then he sat on a park bench in London for weeks, and he woke up finally with all his wisdom inside. And I can tell you, I heard a definition about wisdom the other day, and it was, wisdom is an unemotionalized memory. And this is so beautiful, because most of the people, when they think of their past, so first of all, they live in their past. They think the same thoughts over and over again. 95% are the thoughts of yesterday, and it is the past, right? It is past thinking, and that way they project their past into the future. So their past equals their future. They will never change if they don't wake up. So this comes from Dr. Joe Dispenza, by the way, and he discovered the scientific side too. And now comes the reason. When you understand it from the brain, what happens in the brain, like the waves in the brain, then you will be able to believe it to be true when he shows you the evidence on imaging, let's say imaging, from the medicine side and or scientific side. Yes, I studied this as well. And then you see other people, they go from broke or homeless to superstar and billionaire. This is very, very inspiring. So my story is quite the same. It is, I had an incredible lifestyle. I had this company, this accounting company. I always say accounting company. Maybe there's another word for that in the US, in Germany. And I created this company to give work to people as well, and to give the possibility to develop, because we studied thinking it results with my employees, and it was good. And then a shift happened, and one of my employees quit my company after 18 years of doing the same work. So she developed highly, but when you don't pay attention to the development, like when you don't see what happens, then it can be dramatic, right? So I panicked, and then I had another employee, and she was amazing. She helped me, but I could not prevent the things that were coming, and it all had to do with my shopping list. I created this list in 2021 saying, what do you really, really want? And on that list was, I don't want to run that company anymore. And when you set your goal, you just have to take inspired action, and the effects will take care for themselves. That means you set your goal, and you have so much fun and joy as possible during the process, and you have to trust the process as well. So this is what happened. And your question, how do you inspire other people, can also be with my story, my life, what I experience, and how I tell the story, right? There are many people out there telling their victim story. So the question is, do you want to be a victim, or do you want to be a victor? And I chose the latter, we can say. And now I'm here, as I said, I'm a great leader and a great networker as well. And I discovered this side, and now I organize all those beautiful charity events and help other people to grow and make the world a better place for everyone. So thank you for asking me that. Wow, this was a great answer. Thank you so much. And of course, I have another question for you, and it is, what are your gifts and talents? Thank you for asking me that because when I started the podcast, I picked questions that I wanted to answer for myself. So I didn't know what my gifts and talents were back then. It was in 2023 at the end. And I discovered after starting the podcast that podcasting is really a talent of mine. Because it was so easy to set it up, to set up the technical side of that. It was done within 1 hour, and then I never had to care about it anymore. I just upload the episode and it's done. It's distributed to 10 other platforms, And then I discovered I have a talent contacting people, asking them to be my interview guest as well, and everyone said yes. So, of course, we have exceptions. I have people I had to ask 3, 4, or 5 times, even though I decided not to do so, but I had to. But yeah, because it worked. At the end, some people want to be asked twice or even 5 times, but it's worth it because when I look back at all the episodes, then these 15 to 20 minutes with every one of my guests were divine and guided by the spirit. So there was a magic moment in each episode where was great learning in it. And what I realized was I always met myself because we are one, and the others are a mirror of what's going on inside. So I had to smile, to grin, so to say. I had to grin when I realized, oh, this is me. And then the other guest came and I said, oh yes, this is me too. And I discovered all the parts of myself like puzzle pieces, and I took them back, I integrated them, because when you realize the moment is holy, the moment that God gives to you is really holy and divine, and all you have to do is pay attention to that. So being aware would be another word for it, and being grateful, being really, really grateful. So you don't have to act if you don't feel inspired. You can observe the present moment and also welcome whatever is shown to you. So you say, stay with me, sit at my table, and I give you food and drink. You can stay um, as long as you like, and then it will pass, right? The negative feeling, a guest that is bothering you, triggering you, triggers, whatever, pain, for example, suffering, this all shall pass, and it will. So your question, what are your gifts and talents? I am definitely skilled with technical knowledge and wisdom. So I help many people or I help them to become a member of Be Connected. This is the platform I prefer and I promote as well. I invested in 2023. I invested, so I'm a part of the company. The company is a part of me. So my gifts and talents were always subjects like money, finances, also paying attention to my intuition. I can also say following my inner voice. I do that. I respect my inner voice, and yeah, becoming more and more me. And yeah, this would be my answer. Oh, thank you so much for your answer, Caroline. I'm humbled by our interview. I'm so happy that you are here and that we are doing this. You come from a higher point, from a higher frequency, and we can speak together now. This is awesome. So I would highly recommend to every one of my listeners to do this. To do this experience. And I can tell you, when you go through a podcast interview with me, after recording the episode, you will be a different person because you experience growth. First of all, you go through the fear, for example, making a decision, saying yes to this interview. And then at the end, when you did it, you are so proud of yourself and you celebrate because you did another step towards your goal, right? And this leads me to my next question. You already talked about your goal, and can you elaborate about your goal and what it is? What is your goal? um can you give us examples of goals that you already achieved, and how is the process? What would you say are the, for example, two ingredients or two methods you can share with the audience in order to get to your goals? Yeah, thank you. That is my favorite question. Talking about goals, it all starts with goals. It starts with your little goal card, and you write down, I am so happy and grateful now that. You write it in the present moment, and you write it that you are happy and grateful that you received it. I tell you, gratitude will set you in a state of being, of already having it, what you desire. So it puts you in the right frequency. And you asked me about my goals. I received my goal from God in October 2021. And then all I had to do was follow the steps, the guidance. That means surrender into that what was shown, right? You can also say, like saying yes to the opportunities along the way. And I did, even though I was not happy with it. I have to say it this way, because it was my old paradigm fighting against the new ideas I had. We call it terror barrier. And I went through it many, many times. So when I went to travel the world, for example, I went on a cruise twice, um, on my own, and I had to connect with people. I had to learn how to be by myself, like when you sit there, and you eat alone, and but you want it that way, but on the other hand you think, oh, the people are thinking about me, they are criticizing, they are mocking about me, for example, but it's only my thoughts, it's my thinking that makes it so I get to choose which side I want to focus from. And you asked about my goal. Since then I focus from my goal and I live in the moment. And that leads me to the answer to your question about two methods or what worked for me. The method that always worked for me is act as if. So you imagine the person that already achieved the goal and you act as that person now. So what does she wear? What car is she driving? In where does she live, for example? And then you answer that questions and you do exactly that. That means I mean, of course, you cannot beam yourself in another country, another continent, another whatever, cruise ship, airplane or so, but you can feel yourself into that situation. So the exercise would be when you close your eyes and you visualize and you see this, you see yourself in the beach house, for example, or on stage, talking in front of 3,000 people, right? Being not anxious, like being confident and resting in yourself, like relaxing. You feel yourself in that state, and then it will happen because you attract who you are or what you are. You attract what you are. You can only attract the frequency you are in. So this is what always works for me. And I have to add something. When you can visualize it with eyes closed, then the next step is to visualize it with eyes open. This is also what Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches. And when you go to a retreat by Dr. Joe Dispenza, then he will do so many exercises and meditations that after 7 or 10 days, you will be totally transformed. Your DNA will be transformed and you are a new personality, right? So this is my answer to your question. Do you have another one? Oh, yes, Caroline, I have another question, and it is the last one for today. And I'm really happy for our interview. I will re-listen to it over and over again because it speaks to me. It's my higher self, Caroline, Caroline's higher self talking to Caroline and giving her advice. And you are a witness, dear listener, of something very, very special. Which you can do as well for you. Do the exercise. I highly recommend. And if you need someone to do this, then reach out to me. We will do this together and I will do a podcast interview with your higher self as well. And this is how transformation happens, right? It always happens when when we are courageous to take the next step, to jump into the unknown and into our impulses. So my last question for today, dear Caroline, is when people reach out to you after listening to this podcast episode, do you have special offers and services for the Inspired Podcast community? Oh, thank you so much for asking this. So right now we are planning a charity event and there will be tickets on sale very, very soon. Oh my goodness, I see this. I see this. So the tickets they will have a minimum price. It's like pay what you want. Yeah, let's say pay what you want. It's also called pay your own price, but there's a minimum price of $1,000 and you can pay whatever you want because it is a charity event for a good reason, a good cause. And we want to support people in the so-called third world. This can be Africa and Asia as well, and where it's not for granted that they learn how to read and write. And the idea came only yesterday to me, so I will set this event up, and I know it's possible within 1 week. Of course, all the people have to fly in from all over the world, and we will have this charity event in Disneyland in California. And I spoke to the managers there, and yeah, they are used to having charity events in the park, in the theme park, and yeah, they are very eager to help us with our cause. So what I want to raise is at least $1 million, but I think it has to be more, $2 to $5 million, because I invite over it is 2,000 people I have in my address book, so to say, my phone book, and I will invite them and they will come. So when people reach out to me, they can participate in the charity event, and they can refer people as well, because this will be a huge party. And as it is in Disneyland, we will do beautiful stuff and have huge fun. Yes, and I see my vision, and all my dreams come true. I have to mention it. And what else? Yeah, you can support me in helping me with the event, of course, and it will happen. I know it. It's already done. So thank you so much for your support and your questions today, Caroline. I wish you all the best, and I can tell you, I will ask you, I will say thank you for inviting me today, and yeah, thank you so much. Now I'm speechless about the event you are planning. Thank you for sharing so much. Please reach out to Caroline. She's amazing. I don't know how. Maybe you will leave your new phone number. Has it changed, Caroline, your phone number? And now is the time to for your last message to the audience, please. Yes, I'm happy and grateful now to share that all my dreams came true. I'm so happy to be here, to be alive, to be in a great community. Everyone is so supportive, and I have everything I ever wanted. I what can I say? Except being very, very, very grateful and happy. And never forget, always be yourself, because no one can be yourself so good as you can, it's only you, so you are unique, and we are all number one. You are number one, and you are unique. So yeah, we are all leaders, and please take ownership of your life, and turn your dreams into reality. This is my last message to the audience. Thank you so much. Please reach out to Caroline, and let's connect. This is why I'm here on the planet, to connect and to bring peace in your lives. Thank you so much. Wow, this was amazing. Thank you, Caroline, and I see you in the next episode.